Hey, you just clicked on a video titled Complaining about Tears of the Kingdom's ending, but here's a spoiler warning just in case. Also, this is all just my opinion, you don't have to agree with me, I'm not presenting it as fact, blah blah blah. Anyway, compared to Breath of the Wild's intentionally underemphasized plot, Tears of the Kingdom at least tries to tell a story with higher stakes and more going on overall. And it's fine. I mean, I'll never give an ass rat's about Yonobo, and I'll step in front of a car if I ever have to hear about the imprisoning war again. And at least the Ganondorf stuff was interesting enough. But this game features at least one truly exceptional story moment, and that of course is Zelda sacrificing herself by choosing to become a dragon in order to restore the Master Sword. This hit like a brick. It's a genuinely powerful scene. Early on in my playthrough, I sailed past the Zelda dragon and thought, that dragon's color scheme reminds me of Zelda. It'd be pretty funny if that was her somehow. Later on, I figured that it was maybe a form of Sonia, Raru's dead wife. But oh god, no, this isn't pretty funny at all. This is fucked up! And the story really emphasizes that this is a permanent change, and that anybody who becomes a dragon essentially dies in the process. This is reiterated during the fight with Ganondorf, where he says that he would rather sacrifice, quote, his body, his mind, everything, than allow Link to win. Swallowing a dragon tear is a pretty big deal, is the point. Until it isn't. Of course, at the end, Zelda's transformation is reversed. She doesn't even remember the thousands of years of flying around. From her perspective, she's waking up from a long nap. And because Nintendo really wanted to negate the events of their big new video game, they even gave Link his arm back at the last possible second, despite us being told very early on that the limb was beyond saving. Well, alright then. Look, before I go on, let me just say, of course they were always gonna reverse Zelda's transformation. This just isn't the kind of series where a moment like this would actually stick, at least for the main characters. And it was cathartic when she came back, and I especially love the symmetry of Link successfully grabbing her hand in the sky compared to him failing to do so underground. But the problem here for me is that Zelda turning into a dragon was the only moment that truly invested me in this story, since it was presented as such a grand sacrifice. Zelda shedding those final tears right before losing herself to this new form was one of the most moving things I've ever seen in a video game. But no, don't worry, look, she's back! Sure, the bit with the dragon tears loses a ton of its impact when you realize that she probably doesn't even remember it happened, but who cares about that? Look, she's smiling! I'll give the writers this. The fact that this is accomplished by Raru and Sonia combining their ghost powers with Link's time reversal ability makes sense, like there's a fine enough logic to that. But something making sense doesn't make it satisfying. And to me, the speed in which the game jumps from Ganon's defeat, to spirits helping Zelda pull a human out of a dragon, to Zelda unconsciously crashing down to Earth, to her cheerfully talking about all the acquaintances she made thousands of years ago, feels incredibly rushed and, yeah, unsatisfying. It feels like the developers stepping into their game and anxiously erasing the single best part of their story. The story that they wrote, by the way, you know, the story where they chose to emphasize the significance and irreversibility of swallowing a dragon tear. They could have just chosen to not write it that way, and I wouldn't be nearly as annoyed right now. To be clear, I'm glad that Zelda returns. I like Zelda in these games, but I just think the issue is in the execution. I feel that things might have worked better if they felt more miraculous and or more connected to the actions of the player. For example, what if the destruction of Ganon's dragon body created a powerful force, forcing Link to use his time backwardsing ability to protect himself and Dragon Zelda against an onslaught of falling Sky Island debris or whatever. And the combination of Ganon exploding and the destruction all around them and Link using this ability managed to somehow, against all odds, reverse Zelda's transformation. It could have even led right into the moment where you have to save her from falling, since this all would have happened in the skies of the final battle. I mean, that idea is also pretty silly, but I do think it's less silly than what we actually got. At the very least, it would have been more interesting than watching three work acquaintances pointing their hands at a dragon for half a minute. I want to reiterate that Zelda's return was probably inevitable, and I do understand how the writing justifies it. But neither of those things make the execution feel any more satisfying, in my opinion. And neither of those things change the fact that one of the most powerful moments I've ever seen in a game was totally neutered at the last second. Ugh. This angle of Zelda falling is pretty funny, at least. Lastly, let me just say that it is a travesty how the story totally sidelines Master Koga. Okay, first of all—
Listen carefully.
Hey, what the hell?
I have to say.
What? Get out of here!
Tell you about the imprisoning.
Oh, God!
And the duty of